All right, good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday. We've just been reviewing the Toreador song, uh, of which I volunteered to play today, and got a little listen to that. And we're going to be moving on now. We're going today to Lullaby of Broadway. A little bit ago, we did Lullaby of Birdland, so I thought we'd come back and do Lullaby of Broadway this time. Okay, so on the symphony, it comes up in song setup as Brass Bandit. You could also use Swing Band. You can also use Frank and the Count. You'll have to alter the speeds, but it's okay. Be sure in this case, especially, that you have no left hand sounds on. And I'm going to point to that over here. Make sure you take all your left hand sounds for the lower chords off so that you only have the background. And what you will find, I believe, with Brass Bandit anyway, is the background is a little bit too strong. So I'll be pulling back the Orc Plus a little bit as soon as I get my little Brass Bandit. Where are you? Here you are. So I have that locked on the Orc Plus. If you can see it, it's amber. Amber tells you that it's locked, and that way it won't overpower. You can use category setups, big band, or you could use your style setup / rhythm preset. All the same, just two different terms, depending on the sounds that you like. And this piece modulates. It's basically goes around twice in changing its own key, and then we finally come to the bridge. So I'm going to add a couple of right hand things you can do as well, but let's do some operations on the chords first. On measure 1, come on along, on the word long, that's an E note. You want to play a C sharp diminished. Measure 2 is G7. We're just going to detain it to beat 3, and we're going to play on beat 1, D as in dog, minor 7th. We're going to do this pretty frequently. Measure 3, the lullaby. We're going to play D as in dog, minor 7th again. And on beat 3, there's where we'll play G7 again. On line 2, we're going to play that C chord and use the fill. And then I'm going to start with a low G, G as in George, and play G, A, B, C, D, and arrive up at the E, all in a very quick amount of time. So you're going to hear this. Let me get it for you. So we're here. So that's how it goes. If you tuck your fingers, use finger 1, 2, 3 on the B, and then tuck your thumb to the C, D, and you'll make it to the E. So that'll give you a little bit of motion in your hand.
And you're doing that after you play the C note?
I'm sorry?
You're doing that run after you play the C note?
Correct. Correct. And then on measure 2, beat 3, which is Ray is the lyric of Hooray. That's where you want to use the C sharp diminished seventh again. Measure 3 is going to be the same as the first line, measure 3. So we'll play D minor seventh, D is in dog, and then on beat 3, we'll play the G7. And this is really to give it some motion, because the melody is so redundant that we want to give it a little bit of action. So we're going to do that on line 3, the lullaby. We're going to do the same thing. D is in dog minor seventh, and on beat 3, G as in George 7. In measure 2, you want to change your sound after you play the C note. Change your sound now, because what it's doing now is it's modulating. It's going to a different key. So we want to get a different sound, so we really create some effect with it. And measure 3 on line 3, we'll play the F chord, and then on beat 3, you want to play F sharp diminished seventh. On line 4, subway train is the lyrics. On train, there's where you need to play a C7. Don't wait until the next measure. Play the C7 there. And then measure 2 gives you a C7. We're going to play G as in George minor seventh on beat 1. And on beat 3, that's where we'll play the C7. On measure 3, we're going to play the G and then F in the melody, and then I'm going to play C, D, E, F. Just as a little fill-in run in your right hand. Now for me, it's the next page. The daffodils on dills, that's beat 3. You want to play a F sharp minor F sharp diminished seventh. Okay. Then we have G minor on measure 2. On beat 3, measure 2, play a C7 there. Measure 3, play the G minor seventh, G is in George. And then on beat 3, play C7. Now comes the good part. When we get to line 2, measure 1, you want to use the fill and create an extra measure, because we're going to transpose up 1/2 step. So touch your transpose 1 time, and we want to change our sound there. Because this starts the same part over again, so we have to give it some action. On measure 3 on line 2, the word is night, good night. Beat 3, you want to play a G as in George 7. Line 3, measure 1, we're going to play a D as in dog minor seventh. D minor seventh. And then on beat 3, there's where we're going to do the G7, G as in George. Down to line 4, where the quarter rest is on measure 2, you want to play a D as in dog minor seventh. not a G7. We're going to play the G7 on beat 3, which the lyric is till, until. That's where you want to play your G7. And when we get to measure 3 and you play that G, that's where you want to change your sound, because now you're going to begin the bridge of the song, which is very brief, might I add. So on measure 4, it's an F chord with an A melody note. And then on the 4th beat, I'm going to play a G as in George melody note and an A melody note. So it's just kind of a turn. And we'll do the same thing. I'm going to the top of the 3rd page for me. We have a B flat chord and a B flat note. That's perfect. And then measure 2, we'll play an A note, melody note, and then we'll play a B flat and then an A again. So it's a little turn. Now, if you take box number 1, you're going to end up playing this song 3 times. I'm not sure you're going to want to do that. Maybe. Depends on how much you love it. But if you don't, then when you get to Milkman's on his, well, verse 2 would be, let's call it a day, box number 2, you can go to box number 2 right away. Skip box number 1, go to box number 2, then we return
Joanie?
back to the, yes.
If you take box number 1, doesn't that just return back to the bottom of page 2?
Yes.
So you're just doing
If you want to do
refrain
the
there.
bridge twice.
The bridge twice, yeah.
If you want to do the bridge
Right.
twice, then you go
Okay.
back down to the bottom where, well, the lyrics the second time is sleep tight.
Right. Right. Okay.
So, and you may like doing the bridge twice. I'm just giving you options if you don't want to.
Okay. No, I thought you were saying go back to the beginning of the song if you took box 1.
No, back to the dots.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And in box number 2, there's an F chord, and then we'll do a passing chord and play F sharp, and then that goes to G as in George 7. Then you want to change your sound, because now we're returning to the beginning. We're going to play the whole thing through again until it says 2 coda, and then we're going to jump down and do the coda. Now, the coda you might find interesting if you're not familiar with the chord D as in dog, D flat 7. You may find that kind of thinking about it before you play it, because it comes up twice in the coda. And when you go from D flat 7 to the C 7 on the very last line, if you're doing easy play, that's a little awkward. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then there's a fermata at the very end, the fermata sign. And when you see that fermata, keep in mind your orchestra is still playing. So therefore, you need to do it in increments of measures, in beats of 4. Okay?
Do what in beats of 4?
Because if our drummer is going, we can't take a fermata at liberty to do as, well, I'll just hold it for as long as I want. You still have to stay with the drummer to stay on the beat. So either build in an extra measure or not. Just go to the ending if you want and hit that. That's fine.
What do you mean by fermata?
Do you see that half a circle with the dot?
Yeah, I see it.
That's a fermata sign.
And what does that mean?
Hold at your leisure.
Hold at your leisure. Okay.
Yeah. So for a
So
piano
like
player,
ignore the rest.
they could hold as long as they wanted. We don't have that luxury because we got a drummer with us and a whole orchestra. So we have to do it in increments of measures if you're going to hold it
Oh, okay.
extra.
So it's like ignoring the rests that are in that measure.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So, and remember, you don't want any left hand sounds on. So you need to lock your accompaniment so that when you change your right hand melody sounds, they don't come back on. So lock accompaniment.
If you don't have any left hand sounds on at all, are you going to get the full effect of your chord changes that we just put in?
Yes, because the orchestra is going to play the chord changes. You're going to hear it in the
Okay.
orchestra.
Okay.
You could try it both ways. I just found that the memory of the chord holding, I don't know, to me, it was like it got in the way of what the orchestra was doing. So I chose not to retain that.
Joanie, did you say you turned the Orc Plus?
No, I did not say that.
Okay,
I turned the Orc Plus volume down.
okay, that's what I guess I heard.
I did do that. Yes, I did do that.
Okay.
And I locked it so that it would stay down. Otherwise, as soon as you change your sound, it goes all the way back up again. So I'm going to do what you have for song setup first. If anybody's near a marquee, a grand marquee, or an aria, and you want to check your song setup, we would love to know if it also chose Brass Bandit.
On the aria, it's Brass Bandit.
Okay, good
On-
enough.
I have an extreme and it's a PE6 5000.
What instrument are you on, Ann?
It's a grand marquee with the package that went with it.
And it chose PE6 5000.
Yeah, let me see if
Wow,
that,
that'll be interesting.
I might have looked at the wrong song. Nope, that's what it says.
That's interesting. I hope I can hear you next week. I'd like to hear that. That's great. All righty. So I'm going to start with Brass Bandit. I have my accompaniment lock on. I have my Orc Plus volume lowered and locked. And now all I have to do is decide on my sounds. And I'm going to start light with strings because it's so repetitious that I'll build up my sounds as I go. Now, the only other thing I want to check. So it comes on at 140. I'm not so sure you're going to want to do that. So I'm going to take it down to 130. Just so you can follow along a little bit easier because it goes by really fast. Okay, here we go. This is Brass Bandit on Lullaby of Broadway. There you go. again, back to the beginning. One more time. Coda. How was that?
Good.
Good.
Pretty peppy, isn't it?
Mhm.
And I did alter it to 130 instead of 140. That's up to you which speed you can take. But most of it, because it's so repetitious in the melody, so a lot of the work that you're going to be doing when you go to play the arrangement is you're going to be changing buttons a lot. It'll be easier for you if you do save them and put them in the bank, because then you'll have the sounds right in a row and you won't have to keep reaching up for buttons. So that's an option. If you don't want to do that, then you just have to keep changing your sounds to keep it interesting, because it's such a repetitious melody. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you did it on swing band, give you a little flavor of that. That sounds like this. Let me see. What's it gonna give me? Okay, swing band, the sounds are not as strong. So you're gonna have to be selective or go to your big band category, but that starts out a little like this. And I'm gonna try intro 2 for this. This is swing band. Okay. And in swing band, it's the same case. If you need to lock your Orc Plus and bring it back a little bit, because the sounds, at least in style setup / rhythm preset, they're not as strong, most of them, until you get to number 10. That's big brass, but you might want to lock it down there so it doesn't overpower what you're doing. And then if you use Frank in the count, dare you, that comes on really fast. So we're going to have to pull that speed back. It comes on at, I think, 165. There's the background, so you can hear that. Okay. And here's the intro. best?
I think I like the brass bandit.
Brass Bandit?
Mhm.
Nice. Except I'm gonna have to with someone and hear that, what is it, PA 65,000?
PE 65,000.
PE. I thought it was PA for Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Well, the sound on number 9 on that is Pennsylvania 65,000.
Aha.
If you use that rhythm, you have to be careful with the fill because it brings up the telephone ringing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Levon. That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Do you have any questions? It's just a fun song to play if you vary your sounds. Like the first time, I was just seeing rhythmically how they wrote it when I first planned this. And I was only on one sound to start. I just wanted to see how they note value wise put it into the music, and I got bored pretty quickly. Then once I started changing the sounds and creating an arrangement, then I was happy because it's like, wow, there's a lot going on here. Different sounds, transpose, the fill, there's all kinds of things we can do to it. So you do have to be changing sounds for sure. Otherwise, you're going to be bored. And I don't know who we're going to be able to hear next week. I hope we can hear someone. I do not know. Someone who doesn't normally play, you should record yourself and let us hear whether it works or not. Any questions? Any comments?
So Joanie, in the lyrics, the daffodils who entertain, what is a daffodil?
The
What?
daffodil?
Daffodils.
Wow.
Second page there, first line, it says daffodils who entertain in the lyrics. Do you know what a daffodil is?
A daffodil is a flower.
Yes.
Daffodil, this is daffodils.
Well, they were the
Oh.
lightweights of,
That's daffodil. Well, then daffodils, I don't know.
they were the lightweights of New York, of New York society.
Oh, I just looked it up quickly. It was Broadway slang for chorus girls, depending on the venue, chorus boys
Oh,
entertained at these little offside theaters.
Got it.
Hmm.
Well, thank God for Google, huh? So, any comments?
Joanie,
Well, I hope you have fun with this. Yes.
I just have a general question on sounds on the aria and I guess any organ. Is sometimes my brass sounds or the trumpets or the strings while I'm playing along and I'll change sound, but yet like the brass sound will continue on and it's like a bug and I can't stop it, the sound, even if I stop playing and stop the rhythm, it just keeps sounding, and the only way for me to stop it is to turn the organ off.
That's an individual problem, Gary. I can't fix that. Sorry.
Is that like a software problem or a problem with the organ?
I couldn't diagnose the problem, but it definitely is a service issue.
Gary,
Okay, yes,
this is Levon. I have the aria and I have that same problem happen to me. And yes, you do have to just turn the organ off or it just keeps going for a long time. Sometimes if you let it go a long time, it'll actually quit, but I have that problem on my organ too.
The only thing I
you have
can
any-
suggest to you is that you do 8 to 10 time hard reset. And
yeah, I had to
reset,
do that this week.
pardon?
I had to do a hard reset this week on the
To s-
organ because it was happening.
To sleep?
No, I had to do a hard reset this week
Oh, this week. I thought you said
Yeah,
just-
this week.
I have to do a hard reset to sleep. I'm like, why is that? You can't just do,
No, this week.
when you do hard resets though, you cannot just do one.
Yeah, I know it has to be several.
Please remember that. On the aria
Yeah.
level, even from symphony on up, you're looking at doing that 8 to 10 times because you're resetting many, over 23 processors.
Okay.
Okay? All
Yep.
right, well, have fun with Lullaby. And I'll be sending an email at the end of the week. Looking forward to contacting you. Have a wonderful week and a blessed day. And we will get back together next Tuesday. All righty?
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks for being here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.